Welcome. Today, together with Giovanna Severgnini, we're going to be sharing the 2026 business case for emotional intelligence. And the question we really want to focus on is what is in it for the leaders? What's in it for me? What's in it for your client? So, if this is the first time you join a 6 Seconds event, our mission is to increase the world's emotional intelligence. We've been doing that since 1997, so it will be 30 years very soon. Until now, we've worked with more than 10 million people in organizations, in corporate, with certified coaches and trainers, as well as with, for example, UNICEF, the WHO, and many other organizations to also bring impact to the social sphere. So my name is Natalie Roitman. I'm the Pro Director both globally and specifically in Europe. And I'm very happy to be with you today. And I invited Giovanna Severgnini, who is our Europe Business, EQ Biz Europe manager, to be with us today and explore this topic.
Thank you, Natalie, for inviting me. And of course, also welcome to the attendees of this webinar.
Thank you, Giovanna. So I invite you all to share where are you connecting from today and really what's your role? And if we talk about what leaders really gain, what is it that you would like to gain from today? So is it more about really understanding what's in it for you as a leader in an organization? Is it more about how you can support your internal clients? Or is it more around external clients, or maybe both? So we really want to hear from you in terms of first, what is your role, and also what will be important for you today. We know that many of us are so busy. You choose to spend this hour with us exploring the business case. What are you curious about? What will be valuable for you? We invite you to write to us in the chat. Since this is a webinar and we're recording it, also for future people that are interested in this, we really want to hear through the chat about your questions, what will be valuable for you for today. What we're going to be focusing on, let me just stop sharing for a minute, is what Giovanna and I chose to focus on is really understanding on why, as a business leader, there is value in emotional intelligence. So how it can help me, how it can really drive performance, because sometimes it's hard to connect those dots both within myself and also to explain that to my clients, and then how it can impact specifically engagement and retention. And also why today this is really needed, because we've been around for 30 years and this topic is becoming even more and more critical, even more and more crucial. So why is that? And how can we share that with our prospective clients and say, okay, this is something that you should be focusing on.
Director of a company. I'm reading the chat, Natalie, for
Yes.
you. There are EQ practitioner and leadership coach, executive coach, director of a company.
Great. Okay. So what I see is that it's okay. So it's really to support your clients and how to bring that to them and how to get them to understand this before maybe and have their buy-in even before they're actually experiencing it. Yeah. Or how can we do to really experience it? Okay. Yes. Yeah. So where to find the interest in business? Definitely, this is a really critical topic, and we have some new examples in the last 2 years, Giovanna, on how also in Italy we've seen that not only through HR, there are other people that we can get into working with enterprises. So that's really great. Okay.
More than often.
Okay, and I
It's a
see.
very diversified audience.
Yes. We also have some HR training analysts that are working also in a health system, not necessarily for a corporate, but also for a governmental organization, if I understood right. So yes, the good thing about this is since we're all humans and we all have emotions, and I have one of our coaches always says we are emotions with legs, right? I mean, being human, we have emotions, and especially in the rapid pace of the world today, we can use emotional intelligence in really everywhere, from our own home to the government. So. Oh, great. I also see experts in labor law and how that
Mm.
emotional intelligence can connect to that. Great. Okay, so let's get started. Giovanna, my first question to you is when you talk with corporate leaders, what are the current pain points that they share with you?
Okay, the pain points are many, but I can, let's say, group them in bigger categories. First of
Mm,
all, the so far pain point on the table of everybody is this feeling of uncertainty outside politically wise, but also this affect also the organization. And inside the organization, we use this word of complexity. Complexity sometimes is something that came from outside, making complex the organization environment. And I would add also that some companies are very, can I say, able to complicated things. So complicating processes, complicated communication. So complexity and complication makes the leaders, the team leaders, more, let's say, under the pressure. And of course, the HR to whom we talk to are trying to support those leaders in developing their leadership, supporting others people, enriching the performance, managing the conflict, making sure the teams work well together, uh, people manager skills, feedback. Conflicts, I've already told it, but it's a new came in town. So these are really pain points on the table of anybody who is, let's say, leading the performance, but at the same time, is responsible for people who drive those performance.
mm,
I don't know if I
yes,
answered your question,
I
Natalie, but
think
this
so.
in a
Yes,
nutshell.
yes, definitely, Giovanna. And it's complex. Like we were, I'm listening to you and saying, okay, so this uncertainty, this complexity that then bring complications, right? And when you were saying that, I was thinking in 6 seconds we always say emotions drive people. So if I am uncertain, if I am in a complex situation, maybe I'm confused, maybe I'm overwhelmed, maybe I'm not so sure. I can imagine why I will complicate things that could actually be
I'm
simpler.
I'm under pressure, and
Yes.
being under pressure doesn't allow you to act in a functional way, but you act dysfunctional pattern. So all these makes the life of this so far leaders in the company.
Yes,
When I
yes.
say company, let me say organization, because it's not only a commercial company, but it's organization in general. The health system is there, the no-profit organization are there too. So organizations.
Yes, and you're mentioning many of these issues that are impacting business performance, but they're also impacting the well-being of all employees and also of leaders. So it's very easy to get into a vicious circle where the more business, let's say, complications I have or issues I have, the more stress I feel, the less well-being I have, and it's a bit like the battery of the phone that always
Yeah.
the battery gets empty when you need it the most. So it seems like that's where we are right now in the world.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying because sometimes we heard an extrinsic need that is well-being. I need something. I need to train my people on emotional intelligence because I need to take care of the well-being of the people. Going underneath this well-being, there are multiple needs like time management, people management. I mean, get ready to influence other people. So there are more intrinsic needs that sometimes have been under the umbrella of well-being, and not
Yes.
well-being is another pain point, of course. I
Yes,
don't want.
yes, yes, yes. And it can be the root cause or the symptom of this issue. And it's both. Yes. So
Absolutely,
again, are we in this
absolutely,
vicious circle, or are we able to move to a virtuous circle in this? And
absolutely.
there is a big gap between, wow, we see this need, and actually investing, not spending, but investing the time and the funds to actually solve these issues. So I think that's also where the pain is. And especially on emotional intelligence, many people feel is only about controlling emotions instead of saying, no, actually, it's everything that has to do with people. Because again, we are emotions with legs, as my friend says. And really what we want to do today is help you all connect those dots and help you have more clarity on that, but also how you discuss it with your clients, internal or external, for them to say, okay, now I see how this connects. Now I see how this is something I need to invest my time, instead of, oh, I don't have time. Yeah, of course, right now you don't have time because you're overwhelmed, you're under stress, and you're not prioritizing. But this will help you actually have tools for that.
Yeah, and let me say, I don't want to disclose something that you are going to show to the our attendants, but all these things we are talking about are, let's say, the top of the iceberg. So what
Mm,
is
mm.
evident if you look at the company, if you look at one team, if you look at one leader, all these things we can clearly see it. But what is
Yes.
going on
Yes,
underneath?
exactly. Yeah, yes. And I first wanted to just mention also listening to ourselves sharing this kind of vicious circle we are in, that we are actually in an emotional recession. So this research is a research we've been done for many years. This is the latest from 2024. We do have internally the numbers for 24 and 25, and they're not any better, and I'm not surprised. We can see that emotional intelligence levels in average are in a recession. They are getting lower and lower. Now, we're not talking, it seems like, oh, it's just 2 points. We're talking here about more than 60,000 people in this sample, and we can really see how we can see before COVID and with COVID how kind of our emotional intelligence battery is getting emptier and emptier. So this is something to really take into account. I'm not surprised when Giovanna, with everything we talk about till now, this is what's going on with for people. We don't have that emotional battery here. We don't have that energy. We don't all of us have a way to connect back to that and really practice these skills. And we know they're measurable, they're learnable. We can do something about this. But on a global level, we can see this just getting worse and worse.
What you said that is measurable, they can be trained, they can be practiced, is something that answer to many people asking me, okay, but in in fact, what is the emotional intelligence? Is only empathy? Is only be emotive, sensible? And no, you get the answer. Is something that you have to learn because we call it soft skill, but they are empowerment skills. So they give another boost to leaders to match the soft skill with our
Yes,
skills.
yes, yes. And what we are actually saying is, what we're actually hearing is, we want higher engagement. We want better decisions. We want better retention. We want our customers to stay loyal. We want better execution in uncertainty. All those things we're hearing, uh, the root cause might be this emotional recession, or again, this might be a symptom of that. I really think it's a bit like the chicken and the egg question in this case. And Giovanna, you mentioned the iceberg, and yes, so we can really look at this and say, when we're listening to our clients, and I know many people today are coaches, so you can also use a coach approach when you're listening to the client. most issues are going to be the first step where you're going to be listening, hearing from your client is going to be related to business results. Yeah, so we're not succeeding right now, we're not achieving our targets, or we're achieving our targets now, but for next Q, who knows? We have no idea what's going to happen next quarter. It's a bit like driving in the fog. Yeah, you can only see 1 or 2 meters ahead and not much more. And that again adds from the uncertainty, Giovanna, you were mentioning. There's also this idea of, will my customers stay with us? There is so many more competitors in the market right now. There is so much disruptiveness. There is so many kind of the rules of the game are changing. So will my customer still be loyal to me? So that sometimes it's also an issue that we might hear. We hear a lot around retention and absenteeism. So the quiet quitting part of this. And productivity, yes. Stop me anytime you want to mention something, Giovanna.
No, I just want to add that retention is getting a pain point, not topic, especially for the brand new generation, Gen Z and the
Yes.
upcoming generation that will be the workers, employee of really tomorrow. They are really not retentionable from the company, and
Yes.
retention is getting a pain point specifically on those targets
Yes.
because
Especially it
they're
seems like they're
living an
talking another
emotionally
language.
indeed, and they're living in a part emotional world done by a specific language, a specific perception of their self, of their purpose, and so on. So retention, yes, but specifically for Gen Z and the brand new generation coming into
Yes.
the work.
So the idea really is to say, okay, like there's many other issues on the tip of the iceberg, but emotional intelligence is going to be the approach that 6 Seconds uses in emotional intelligence is going to be really about, okay, let's dig deeper. What's going on underneath? Okay, so that's really what the part that we want to share with you today as well. And what are the questions we want to be asking our clients to support this from happening? Because again, the top of the iceberg are business issues, are business problems. They're not emotional ones, but the solution is not going to be there. Yeah, like that sentence that says you're not going to be able to solve the problem with the same way of thinking of when the problem was created. So we want to dig deeper, and this is really the value of what the business case can support you with. So in a minute, we're going to be seeing some of the main drivers that we choose to focus on. But first, let's really think about when you're having that conversation with a client and really understanding what's the bottom line, what is that they're really are focusing on. So is the issue, again, achieving the targets? Is the issue that there is a change going on and they're not adopting fast enough that change? So really thinking about what's the bottom line, what is it that we really want to boost? And it might be different for different clients. So how we're going to listen to that. Specifically in the business case, we're focusing on some of them, like sales, like customer service, and you can see specific examples, and we invite you to look at that. Because sometimes we think of emotional intelligence again only as, oh, this is to control my emotions. Like, oh wait, no, what is the issue, the business issue that I really want to support? And most of the time, to be able to boost the bottom line, to better get results, what we really want is that we grow ourselves, we earn the loyalty of our customers. So emotions is what drives that loyalty and that memory, the customer experience we are providing. And sometimes organizations spend a lot of time in the website and in the marketing event and in the advertisement. The bottom line is that your best advertisement is going to be the experience your customer gets when they're actually talking with a representative, whether it's a salesperson or whether it's a customer service person. So the experience they are going to be providing depends on their experience. So employee experience is going to cascade to our customers. If our employees feel trusted and trusting, they are going to pass that on to our customers. If they feel listened, they'll be better at listening. If they feel cared, it will be natural for them instead of fake. And we know it when we're getting kind of fake customer service and kind of only what we call surface acting. Again, for the employees, that engagement with them is going to be emotional and not only rational. So trust is something that can reduce the burnout of our employees and, of course, our turnover. And in 6 seconds, we measure trust. We measure trust in terms of a leader being able to manage to create a trusting environment, the team trust level, as well as the organization. And in a way that later we can actually have action items for all of these different actors to actually work on their trust and improve it. And where will that come from? From the leaders. So how we make sure that our leaders have great decision quality, that their execution better because they have clarity, they have alignment within themselves, in the team, in leadership team, but also with both peers and employees. So that's where emotional intelligence comes in. We're not going to support the bottom line directly, but it will be through the customers, for example, through customer service, and also through employees and through leaders. So this is really to support us, connected us. Giovanna, how does this work for you when you're talking with leaders in organizations? How easy is it for them to see these dots connecting?
Let's say that one of the first question they ask me is, okay, I got it. Emotional intelligence is something that is valuable, but how you bring the emotional intelligence, your methodologies, your tools inside a pathway. And really, the position of 6 seconds is really to give those leaders that works for other leaders data. A report, and we have our own assessment. We collect data from the respondents. We create reports, and a report is a science-based report. So it's like we deliver a picture of the so far situation to a decision maker inside a company, and we say, listen, this is the picture of your team, your organization, your leader. We can act at the individual level, team level, or organization level. And having something concrete, science-based under your eyes makes you take the best decision ever. Because we used to say that without data, without something that supports your decision, you are just a person with an opinion, and the world is full of people with opinion. Maybe they are opinion based on something concrete, but you cannot prove it. When in terms of investing in a education pathway, training pathway, means investing a lot of money. And in this moment of crisis, of economical crisis also, people are very care where they have to invest their money. So let's say that when I say that the emotional intelligence is an hard stuff, is meaning really that we deliver a picture, and based on those picture we work together as an assessor, as a certified, or as a consultant with our company sponsor in order to identify the best pathway to support leaders, to support their teams, and to reach for these specific KPIs. Is trust? Okay, let's go. Let's work on trust. Is teamwork? Okay, let's work on teamwork. And of course, how we can do it? Uh, as I said before, we have models, we have assessment, and we work thanks and through those tools we have in-house.
Yes. And listening to you, I'm thinking, Oh, many times people think emotional intelligence is so abstract, so fluffy, and you're saying yes, and actually we have cognitive data. We have what we call rational data we can provide. And I was reminding of one of our certified that it's an OD manager in a 500 Fortune company, and it's a German company, and everybody there is engineer. And she always says, if you're not sure how to call somebody, call them doctor, because most of them have PhDs. And she was bringing emotional intelligence there in terms of really bringing a coaching culture, and emotional intelligence was helping her speeding that kind of culture. And what really helped her was the data, because she could see if it's the emotional intelligence competencies, if it's what we call the brain talents, if we're talking about resilience levels and data mining levels and collaboration levels, and she could really see the gaps. So she knew what to support them with and who needed that support. And of course, then she could, after 3 months, 6 months, or a year, because she made a whole program of a whole year long of EQ leadership development, she could check again.
Recheck. Yeah.
Yeah, and she could really
You
show
compare two different
exactly,
pictures. Yeah.
and especially for engineers, that was really mind blowing. Saying, "Oh, we can see this. We can see how this is changing without needing to do a whole assessment center with role plays and etc. We feel it, and also we can see that those changes in the results. So that's really important.
On
Bringing
the
in
other
the
way,
data.
Natalie, maybe the priority for a company or a team are different, and sometimes you don't know if you have to work on the people or work before on the processes and procedures. Uh, Thanks to, let's say, our intervention, reading the data and showing the briefing, the picture, we really support the decision maker to say, okay, let's move the first step on, I don't know, the organization, and then let's structure the rest, or vice versa. So it's really a starting point and make people more efficient in taking their decision and in driving the employees, the company population on working on a specific direction. Sometimes everything is important, but maybe there is something that is much more important than the second one. So
Yes.
in this, there is another support. So emotional intelligence, I would not say it's fluffy, because I have a degree in economy, and I learned before to read the balance of a company instead of giving feedback in a functional way. So it's not fluffy at all, but okay, let's play this game. There is fluffiness, and there is also cognitive things, science-based
Yes, it's
things, and
definitely not fluffy.
reading data.
Yes, yes. And listening to you, I was thinking of, oh, wait, do I need to focus more on the process or on the people? And at the end, it's the people that are going to be using the process. So I was, for example, in a common project we have last week, it was really about how I get the people to work together to really use the new process. So instead of just top down, this is the process, go and do it. Now saying, okay, wait, how are we actually going to change our patterns? What are our strengths? So if we have specific brain talents, for example, that we use most, for example, for this group, they were very much into problem solving. So a problem came, they just went and solved it instead of first prioritize. And that made that we have a beautiful process. I know I need to follow it, but I'm not following it because I'm in the old pattern. I'm using other strengths that helped me before. In the new process, I need to prioritize. Is this something I should be doing or Giovanna should be doing? So again, these help us support the client to dive into the iceberg, and we know that change starts from the inside. So this is going to help us start the change from the inside for the participant, and then being able to say, okay, so now I need to change this process, or I need to use the new process, I need to change my behavior, but I do that from the inside out. And that's really important that we support our clients connect that dot.
Yeah, connecting the dot. That's the key word.
And one example, Giovanna, I think is really around decision quality.
Sorry, I was reading the chat.
Yes. Yeah, they're not soft at all, right? Yes, this whole idea of soft skills and hard skills. And one thing I suggest you also to do is there is, first of all, you can use the business case as authority. So when you're chatting with your own clients around why is this important, look at the business case. There is a lot of information, like the one I'm going to share now, that really helps. Some clients, it helps to position emotional intelligence not as a emotion control tool, but as a decision tool, decision making tool. And I agree, yeah, we also call them power skills. And the brain talents are amazing for that because we have very clear power skills and empowering skills. We have 18. They use a language, and I don't have the picture ready for today, but if you haven't yet, you can go to 6 Seconds website and check brain talents. And we have 18 of them. They're all based on emotional intelligence, but we'll have something like resilience, vision, entrepreneurship, critical thinking, reflection, collaboration, data mining. Many of these skills, we actually have a whole list we can look at, and it can be assessed in 10 minutes. So I really like the efficiency of it. So going back to what I was saying, decision-making tool, positioning emotional intelligence as a decision-making tool, and you will see in the case, and this is something you might want to share with your clients, which is what is happening right now in the world with decision quality. And I'm specifically thinking, Giovanna, of what you mentioned at the beginning in terms of this complexity bringing complications and this uncertainty we're in, the fog we're all trying to drive in. And I was baffled by this result that only 1 in 5 leaders rate their own organization decision quality as excellent. So are we proud of the decisions we're taking? Only 1 in 5 globally believes, yes, we're making the decisions in the right way. This is not only about whether the decision was good, but about the process.
And we can have another webinar only talking about this specific slide because the paradox is that all the people takes 1,000 of decision every day without causing any catastrophe. But when they are entering an organization, it seems they are unable to take decision. And this comes another paradox, the delegating, that means trust. Are those people trusted? Are free in order to take the ownership of their decision or any decisions is like a dilemma to take. So sometimes the people that take the decision are the let's say far from the origin of the decision. So it's like I'm taking a decision for you, Natalie, what are you going to eat tomorrow? And you are in France and I'm in Italy. And so
Yes.
what the hell I could do for you? I'm here, I cannot help you. So also this is an impact and is $200 million of impact in more than 500 companies. So, I mean, it's a huge impact, and the figures you show are talking by themselves.
Yes, and I was just thinking about 250 million is not that much if it's all Fortune 500 companies. I can imagine much more. And as you're mentioning, is again, it's not about how me as a director are taking decisions. Is how is our organization taking those decisions? Am I making those decisions by myself? Do I have all the information I need? Is there alignment between what I think is needed, what I see, and what the person actually doing the work, etc. So how, and with the amount of data we have today. So one way you can use this is bring this slide that you do have this content in the business case and discuss it with your clients. Like how are you rating the decision quality in your organization? Which parts are great? Where are your blind spots as an organization? Are you all aligned on where those blind spots are? So all of this, again, helps to start conversations about what is really critical today. And Giovanna, you mentioned before that we can bring them data. So just to share an example, in this case, we can see here on the right, this will be an individual report. just one of the pages of the individual report. So looking at decision making, for example, we will see that this leader is really good at recognizing patterns, at getting all the data, but he might not be actually as consequences before making a decision because this is an emerging, and he's using his optimism to some degree, right? Emerging already. So maybe he's already just a bit more looking at the bright side of that decision, but maybe not really thinking things through. So this is on an individual level. On the left, we can see a group report. So here we see, for example, this is the applied consequential thinking for this whole group. It's higher than for him, but this is where the consequential thinking should be. And this is where it is. So again, we can get this data and we can say, okay, what is it that we really need to work on? As an example of this. And for example, in this page, we can see also the level of empathy that is in challenge. So is he considering, or she, are they considering the repercussions that their decisions are having on people? Maybe not so much. So again, we can see strengths, we can see blind spots, and this can help us help our clients to really bring that change from the inside out. I do love the group
And
reports.
Natalie, just to say that these reports, both reports came from one of the model, the KCG we have in 6 seconds. And of course, there are suites of other reports like the brain you mentioned and a couple of others that can be, of course, can be applied to individuals or groups as you are showing on the left side.
Yes, and this is based on a self-assessment. We also have a 360 assessment that we might use. But again, emotional intelligence is measurable. And when you're certified, you can look at this and say, okay, I know where the gap is. I know how I can support my client. And again, you're not just supporting them to get the business results in terms of a superficial solution, but more like, okay, what's the training? What's the coaching? How are we going to be integrating this into our culture? How do we make sure that it's not an isolated trainer, an isolated leader that is using these skills intentionally, but actually have all our organization doing that? And it's something that we can support you to do or to train you so you can help your clients on how you integrate solutions based on the results you're seeing. If any of you have any questions about this, feel free. Giovanna and I are also looking at the chat and can respond. And I also want to share another thing around decision making, which is just one of the cases. And in the 6 Seconds website, we have so many cases. I mean, I've been working in 6 Seconds for 20 years. Sometimes I still find out a new case came up and I didn't know about it, like one of the ones that I'm going to share with you. This is the results we see from a case study that was done in Kuehne+Nagel, who is a global logistics company. And it was really around how they manage challenges. And many employees saw that there's better listening after their managers went through some training. And very important, the way they were making decisions was much better. So again, if you are a certified assessor, you can use this with your clients and also make a case, and we'll be glad to support you in publishing that case and getting more people to know about this. So again, it's not just, oh, that was nice, what a nice training. It's like, no, we actually can see 66% increase in operational effectiveness because our leaders are making decisions better. Somebody's asking about copy from the slides. You can find all this information in the business case. Yes, this is definitely from the business case. And if you're interested in this one or sample reports, you can find in the website as well. The full, because I just shared here one snapshot of that. And one more thing that is really important, and I just wanted to mention a little bit, we talk about it a lot in the business case, is around trust. and engagement. So the more emotional intelligence we have, the more trust we're going to have, the less stress and the less burnout we're going to have. Again, the stress and burnout is the battery kind of empty. Emotional intelligence helps recharge our batteries. And we have a case study that I found it really interesting. Giovanna, maybe you also are familiar with it. I read about it not long ago, actually, when we published this. This is one of the cases where I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't know we were doing this, which is a case study with UCB. So they are a pharmaceutical company, if I understand right,
Yeah.
a healthcare organization, and instead of doing a usual management training, actually they use a two-phase emotional intelligence program for managers. And I found it really interesting that 98% of the participants reported that they have stronger relationships with all their stakeholders. So not only about how you manage your own team, sometimes also how you manage your peers, and better team exchanges. So the teamwork was smoother as well. So I find that really, really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And we can have it because we, let's say, capture the picture of those people before starting a pathway of training and then capture them at the end of the training. And so we can really compare the situation at the level zero and the situation at the level one. And so that's why most of these figures came from.
Yes.
Natalie, there is Luke asking if they can use these, let's say, post on LinkedIn, and the answer is yes. The business case is free sources is public. You can post it, repost it, share with other
Yes.
people. It's
Yes.
a free
Yes.
source, so it's
Yes.
you can
Yes.
use it.
And in this slide, you don't see it because I just copied it from the whole case. But in the whole case, we just ask you that you say the source, and actually that helps you build authority. So this is not something you invented. This is based on research, and you can share where the research is from. In this slide, we don't see a specific result from 6 seconds. But for example, we say here what comes from Gallup, what is from Polsdak,
Yeah.
and just an important point as a consultant. In the past, I used to get frustrated because many issues were about trust, and at the end, the client said, "And I only have half day. So this is really important. We need to increase our trust, and I only have half day of training or half day of a program, right? Even if I only have half day, I can start to create ripples to increase our trust. And again, this starts from the inside. Yeah. So how I am aware of which patterns I have that help me create trust, which ones are hurting our trust. And then if I just change a little bit how I respond, that creates a ripple effect throughout the organization. So even if your client tells you something like that, remember that actually even for just half a day or one day, we can start creating that. Of course, we want more ripple effects, and we want to integrate these habits, these trust building habits into everything we do. And just, I don't want to do a lot of advertisement, but I received the Emotion Rules book that if you follow 6 seconds, you must have heard about, that was just launched last week. And we talk here a lot about emotions and what they mean, but there's also a lot that can help us with trust here. So I invite you all to read it. So Giovanna, before we see if anybody has questions, I think there's another point going back to leaders that we can share, which is really how leaders create results. And
Mhm.
this is really the part that we started with, which is how leaders gain. What is there for leaders in emotional intelligence? So
Yeah, because another things we see when we are with them, when we are in the cohort with them is, okay, this is super, this is something that I need, this is something that resonates a lot in my routine, but how? The how is the second question after, please tell me more about emotional intelligence. And how leaders create results. That's the some, let's say, answer that we can suggest in order really to, as a coaching approach, go into the action because it's actionable. It's not only theory, it's not only a pinky mindset, it's something really actionable. And sometimes the
Mhm.
action is very sustainable for us. It's not that I have to pause my life and learn something huge. It's something that I can do around my table, in my family, with my mm, colleagues, and so on.
Yes, yes. And just before I share, somebody asked, so are there facts and figures who actually show that it's a strong relationship between high EQ and business performance? Yes, there is. You can see this in different levels. You can see this in terms of, for example, the higher. There, we do have some research on, for example, one case we did in the Middle East was with a pharmaceutical company. There was a team that was not performing well. They were thinking about dismantling this team, and it was a kind of remedial coaching and training before we dismantled this team. They had a program, I think it was 6 months long. At the end of those 6 months, that team was high performing team. Two of the team members were promoted, and that team internal reputation completely changed. So that's on a team level, for example, from saying, okay, we were going to just dismantle this team and fire some of them and send them to other teams, to saying, oh, wow, this is a great team. Another example, in manufacturing China, a team works, there's a new team, all the managers are very new. They need to do a very important project, a flagship project. And at the end of the year, they earned the internal prize for the best project. So again, going from, oh, we're not sure if this team of managers can make it. They're all very young. They don't feel very mature, to saying, oh, wow, they're earning not only Asia internal prize, but the global prize. So we have a lot of data about this. So it's not on the personal level only saying, okay, this person is high on EQ, so he's bringing more business performance. By the way, we do have it, for example, for sales. So we know that better sales people, meaning that they bring higher targets, have better optimistic thinking in general. Sometimes empathy depends a lot on the business, on the product, and on the industry. But we do see, for example, we work with some sales reps, and we work with them. These are the sales results for 2025, and we work with them in 2026, and we see the results at the end of the year. So it's not only, again, because emotional intelligence is something you develop and you can use. What is interesting is to really do that pre and post, and not only in terms of their EQ results, but also the business results. Giovanna, anything you want
Let
to add
me,
about this question? Yes.
yeah, let me just add that more often inside the companies, there is a kind of people analytics dashboard. They track results, they track different kind of KPIs, and through our assessment, we can really link some KPIs from some emotional intelligence KPI connected with some, let's say, hard KPIs. So what Natalie said can really detect it inside the company if they have a structured people analytics dashboard, or even connecting, I mean, freeze the, I don't know, sales result at the moment zero, and then
Mm.
after the training, after the mid-long term training, we can re-see this result comparing with what is going on, what was put in place, what was learned, what was trained, and so we can really connect this. Of course, we need also the company. I mean, a system to work in parallel with us, but it's something that can be absolutely detected. The simplest way is, for instance, we work with a pharmaceutical company here in Italy, one of the biggest. The area manager were living a very challenging moment. There are 55 area manager working like individual managers. So we put together this 1 year long program, and at the end, the result was a buddy let's say, system where they understood that they were one in only, and the problem an area manager was suffering, was facing of, was is and was the same of her colleagues or his colleague. And so also in terms of qualitative, they created this budding crew, and the decision, even in the crisis moment, went faster and more, let's say, easygoing than usual. So there are not only hard KPI, quantitative KPI, but also qualitative KPI, and the HR immediately detected and saw the differences between January 2024 and January, February 2025. This is just another example.
Thank you, Giovanna, because also in that case, it's about retention. It's maybe you're saying it's qualitative, yes, and it's important. So those area managers, if they are supported, they also have more energy, more battery to support their team members, their sales reps. And they have more chances that they will stay in this organization instead of going to the competitor as well. And all of that is business performance as well. So it's really important. So just before we finish for today, we complete our sharing, I really like this list, Giovanna, from the case, because it kind of, I'm a deliverer in my brain style, and I like to have a checklist. And this is checklist that can say, okay, this is something that as a leader, I can think about. Okay. So it provides us with 5 different things of how me as a leader, how I create results. So the first one is, yes, setting direction and vision. So I can think, how well am I doing this now? What is the need in my organization? Am I doing this? Is it clear? Do I need to do it more? Again, kind of a self-coach question. Am I setting the direction? Am I clarifying the vision? Is this something that my team needs me to do more right now? Or maybe something my superior is asking me to do more, and maybe it's challenging for me, or maybe something I'm kind of procrastinating about. Same thing with this. How am I mobilizing people, inspiring people, including them in that vision and in that direction? And then we have developing capability and culture. And this is like, oh, what does it really mean? Okay, what does it mean? Am I developing capability? So, for example, in one of the cases, one of the leaders that was working last week, he was like, oh, I'm so busy just solving the issue now, I'm not delegating. So I'm not developing capability. I'm not worried at all about that. I'm just like, the problem comes, I'm solving it. So again, the wow of saying, okay, I need to change that, because my role is not just to get things done, is to develop capability. Then another one is driving executions and results. So this specific leader was doing a lot of number 4 and not enough of number 3. And he realized that. And then how I create sustainability and impact. Yeah. So not only thinking about the short term, but also about the long term. So if we go back to that iceberg, and maybe some of you have seen this before, in another important model we use in 6 seconds is the leadership vital signs. So we have here the direction, really focusing on the strategy, on the vision, on the future. And here we have more the operations, the everyday execution. Here we're going to have more the part about mobilizing people, inspiring people. Here is going to be more about how we create that sustainable impact, how we have the right processes in place. And again, this is something we can actually measure: motivation, change, execution, trust, and teamwork. So the 5 points we see in this page are actually all of them represented in this. And the idea is that I cannot be everywhere. So where am I focusing, and how am I intentionally as a leader choosing where I'm going to focus? And this is what, as a leader, you gain when you use your emotional intelligence: that awareness, that intention that is going to be aligned with your purpose in terms of where you need to be. Giovanna, what do you want to share with us about this page? How will you use this one or this one?
I'm very practical, I'm very scientist, so I start from this slide, this specific slide, no matter if I'm talking to a leader, to a team, to organization, this for me is like a map to share with the company, identifying the pathway we would like to go in terms of designing the training, designing the process, and so on. Coming back to the previous slide, Natalie, when you usually share a list of more than one or two topic, our mind get, let's say, burned because, oh my God, I have to do one, two, three, four, five. Sometimes is look at this list. You are leaving your company every day. What is for you the priority? For instance, creating sustainability and impact. Okay, let's focus on this. And then it's contagious. This can, let's say, influence the driving the execution and results, or vice versa. So as a consultant, my first role is to helping people to identify the priorities. There is no one priority better than other. You create a list, but just because you need to create a list. But they are all priorities. For some companies, could be a top priority. For others, the top priority could be the number four. I don't know. Anyhow, let's start from
Yes.
identify one priority and start to cope with it.
Yes, and look, one of our participants today is talking about how under so much pressure it's so easy to just cut on training and coaching, thinking that's some kind of luxury, and maybe on hard skills and on the cognitive skills, and all of that is important, and actually that separation between the cognitive, the hard, or the soft, the emotional, is actually artificial. And we are people. People have emotions, whether we want it or not, whether we're aware of it or not. And these empowering skills and these power skills are going to really bring us a breakthrough. So even if we're talking about artificial intelligence related upskilling or reskilling, there is a lot of emotional intelligence needed for that upskilling in terms of our attitudes, in terms of our openness to change. So we invite you to use this business case to have these conversations with clients and help them again connect the dots. And I love what, Giovanna, you said, that we can do it through here. So here we're not talking about emotions. We're not talking about anything soft. And we can use this to just starting to have that conversation with our internal or external clients around what's working well. What is the part where you need more focus? How you're going to be intentional about that. And that's where our support as trainers, as coaches and consultants come in. Giovanna, what do you want
Yeah,
us? We just have 3 more minutes. So first of all, we will be glad to have more conversations with you. You can contact us through here or through LinkedIn, or I think Giovanna, you will help to add our email
our
addresses.
email.
I just want to ask you, what's the main takeaway? Like you said, we cannot remember all. So what is one or two takeaways that you really want people to take away from today? Giovanna, what would it be for you? What is one or two things that you say, okay, please remember this from this business case?
Well, that everything can be measurable, and then data helps. I grab the message from Luke that is so hard in a crisis moment where people think that training is a kind of luxury, to pass the message that we are talking about investment and not cost. Investing in something and not spreading money for something. And we can do it by talking about emotional intelligence in this way we talk today into this webinar.
Yes, so really starting from what are the business results you want, what's on the tip of the iceberg, what's underneath. So remembering that executives want data, they want evidence, And all of this is helping them, give them more data. So we want to be able to measure, find out what's really going on, what are the root causes, plan a program for that, and maybe it will be a blended program. And then we're going to support them with a change map, which we didn't talk to today. But if you're certified, you can check in their website. And then we're going to remeasure. We're going to see what really is moving the needle. And we're going to be focusing on that. So for me, it's, one takeaway that I would like all of you to take is emotional intelligence is not just a nice to have. It's not a luxury. It's really more and more of a crucial skill. It's not going to take away the fog, and I love metaphors, so I use that metaphor today of driving in the fog. The fog is still going to be there, but the question is, am I freaking out inside the car, or can I still drive through that fog? And I know where is my North Star, and I'm driving towards there, and I'm not alone in that car. And that's where emotional intelligence can support, and 6 seconds can support you. So thank you, Giovanna. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today.
Thank you to you, Natalie, and thank everybody. I put just the last link on the chat is a YouTube video from our CEO, Joshua Friedman, is very related to what Natalie and I shared today. So enjoy also the vision of this video. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you, everybody.
everybody.
Have a great
Thank you for
evening.
being there.
Bye. Thank you, Giovanna.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Natalie. Ciao.